Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5am Club. And I'm up here on the International Passenger Terminal. It's morning tea, so I'm having a bit of a break. So I thought I'd just come up here and just have a brief chat about a topic that I've got near and dear to my heart. And because it's a little bit breezy, what I'll do is I'll try and get a little vantage point over here on the corner and just keep out of that breeze just so it doesn't interfere with the mic and the voice quality. Anyway, let's have a chat about a book. The book is called The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath. Chip and Dan Heath have written a book entitled The Power of Moments, and it's all about living the moment and making the most of a moment. So let's have a chat about it. We'll see where it takes us, where it leads us, and we'll go from there. So the author talks about things which are called defining moments, and in their definition they say a defining moment, and I guess we've all had defining moments in our lives, so it won't come as a surprise to what a defining moment is. But according to the author here, a defining moment is a short experience that is both memorable and meaningful. So there you go, nice and short, nice and sweet, memorable and meaningful. So we don't need huge inputs or huge moments in our lives to change us, to impact us, to impart something on us. Moments only need to be brief, and as they say, you can fall in love in a heartbeat, you can change in a heartbeat, you can do anything in a heartbeat, and our lives are just a concatenation of little moments, many of which just go unannounced, unnoticed, unlived, but there are moments in there which are meaningful and memorable because of a simple sort of thing that has happened. And the author then talks about flagship moments. Flagship moments, and she talks about, or they talk about, the fact that there are peaks, there are pits, and there are transitions. And that defining moments in our lives change us, they lift us, and they actually jolt us as well. So defining moments are both positive and negative. A death of a parent, a death of a child, a death of a partner. All of these things are defining moments. And I guess the important thing is having been through the death of both of my parents, it's important to make sure that you use that moment and use it as an opportunity to grow, develop, and gain some power, some empowerment out of that moment, because all of these things, as they say, come to us and happen to us for a reason. So we mustn't waste these moments by just ignoring them, by being dispassionate, by distancing ourselves. We need to go through the full cycle of the pain, suffering, grief, in order to gain meaning in our lives, I guess is the point that the author is sort of suggesting. So as the author here says, we need to assess the experience. Don't let it go unexamined. Our life is there for us to examine it, to live it, to taste it, to feel it, and to peel it, to crack it, and to gain as much meaning and as much out of it as possible. So the author talks about the fact that there are three aspects to a moment. There's and it's called the peak end rule. And in terms of the peak end rule, so there's each moment, is defined, I guess, what the author is trying to say. So I'm just trying to gather my my thinking here. So I think that what the author then goes on to say, and this is probably easier to go to this point, that there are 4 elements to a defining moment. There's the elevation, which boosts our sensory appeal. There's the insight moment, where we just trip over a truth or the truth. There's a moment of pride, where we're able to recognize the efforts of ourselves and others. And there's a moment of connection, where you feel connected to that moment, to a place, or to a person. So the author talks about the importance of finding a peak or reaching a peak, and in order for a moment to be defined and memorable and a key moment, it needs to be remarkable in some way, shape or form. Just like we do, we're called to be remarkable in many ways in our lives, and by looking at ways of being remarkable and being different and being special is a way that we too can stand out in our lives and in other people's lives. But we also need to understand is that once you know that you can also leverage moments as well. And I remember years ago somebody telling me that most people live their lives as a 6 or a 7 out of 10. If you ask anybody at any point in time, rate this experience, or rate how you're living now or how you feel now, most people are happy to say, it's about a 6 or a 7 out of 10, and they're pretty comfortable living at a 6 or 7 out of 10. But the big secret is that you can turn every 6 or 7 experience into a 10 out of 10 or an 11 out of 10 by just asking yourself the question, what more can I do at this point in time to make the best, or to turn this into the best possible experience? And it may be just a couple of things, a couple of simple things, but they make the moment reach a higher peak. They make it more remarkable. They make it more memorable. So each of us have the power to do it for ourselves and to do it for the people around us. So you need to be constantly on the move and and examining and being a detective of peak performance or peak moment, peak experience sort of creation, and work out what's a simple thing you can do right here and right now to make this a better experience. And one thing we can learn to do is to amplify, to turn up the volume in our lives and be less restricted, less conservative, less inconspicuous. The key to life is to become conspicuous wherever you can, or to make experiences as conspicuous and as special as possible. So the author here uses the analogy, the metaphor of turning up the volume. Get out the camera. And when people start taking photos, when people start getting their cameras out and start recording things, you know that it's a moment which is memorable, or that they want to make it memorable. So if you're hanging out with people who want to take selfies with you, or want to capture something on their iPhone, then you know that A, the people who like you, and B, the people who want make this moment, capture this moment and make it memorable. So they talk about the aha moment, where we trip over the truth and we get a sudden insight. And we have a few of those experiences, a number of those experiences in our lives. The key is to try and have an aha experience every day. You know, you don't have to wait for years to have an aha moment. You know, you're invited to learn something new every day. I personally make a point to try and to learn something new every day, or to teach something new every day, and hence the basis of my gym's 5 a.m. clubs. But everybody has the chance to learn something new. All you have to do is just decide to become a life learner. Decide that every single day you're going to be curious, you're going to be adventurous, you're going to do a little bit more than average just to learn something new, and to try and peak every experience by just trying to fine-tune it, by just trying to amplify it ever so slightly. You don't need to amplify things dramatically or you know, overdo it. All you have to do is just amplify it a little bit to make it more remarkable, more memorable, and you can do it. You can absolutely do it. So the goal is to try and pack an emotional wallop into all the things you do, all the interactions you have with the people around you, without of course being overwhelming, without being too much in people's faces. You know, as I say, you don't have to over amplify things, but you do need to give some thought to how you're going to do something to make it a little bit more remarkable. For example, being here today, just seeing these little tugboats go past, these little boats, is something different, which makes it a little bit more pleasurable than what it has been in the past, for example. So let's try and amass as many insights as we can. And in order to gain insights, you need to give insights as well. So, as I say, you're encouraged to live, learn and pass it on. Learn, exchange your knowledge, share your wisdom, share everything you have in your life. Be a little bit more open without having the fear, because being a little bit more open makes you authentic. And by making yourself authentic, you're becoming more real, more raw, and people are more willing to trust somebody who's authentic than somebody who's contrived and too perfect, if you know what I mean. But the most powerful insights of all, according to the authors here, is the self-insight, when you all of a sudden realise something. And it may take you years to have an insight into relationships, an insight into the people around you, an insight into who you are as a person, what makes you tick. All of these things are wonderful. And we need to try and discover more about what makes us tick, and to understand what is worth celebrating in our lives. And if it's worth celebrating, then you just got to bloody well celebrate it, and not let it pass by, not let it go under the radar. Don't let it dissipate or evaporate into tomorrow, because once you leave it, once you let it go through your fingers, it disappears. You've got no chance of reliving it or doing it again, because the power is in the moment. The power is now, right here, right now. Capture it, celebrate it, do something about it, make it remarkable, and that way it becomes defining to you and possibly to the people around you. So the author talks about the importance of recognising, noticing what's happening in the world, what's happening in your life, what's happening around you, and making a little bit of a fuss about the people around around you, the people in your life. Make a little fuss about yourself. Reward yourself. Buy yourself gifts. Give yourself rewards. Because by doing that, is that you're anchoring it. You're making it a shared memory. Even though it's your own memory, you're doing something to capture it, as opposed to letting it slip by. And I guess the last thing that the author talks about, and we've talked about this time and time again as well, is the importance of shared memories, shared experiences. So wherever possible, you can have all the money in the world, you can have all the fame in the world, but if you've got nobody to share it with, then it's just a bloody waste. You might as well just not have any of those experiences or any of those things. It needs to be shared. It needs to be shared with a significant other, with friends, family. So the call to action is, wherever possible, socialise, get involved with groups, with people, and organise things, do things together, so that you not only enhance their life, but you're also enhancing your own life at the same time. Anyway, I think that's about it from now. So thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's another interesting book that we've had an opportunity to chat about. The book is entitled The Power of Moments by Chip and Dan Heath, and some wonderful lessons and insights there for those who are interested in taking it and running with it and doing something with it. Let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, and I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable, and most importantly, let's continue to be lifelong learners and do whatever we can to amplify, turn up the volume ever so slightly, so that we can turn ordinary moments into magical, defining, flagship moments in our lives, to not only enhance our lives, but also, more importantly, to enhance the lives of the people around us. So take time to notice, take time to make a fuss, take time to compliment people, to let them know what you think is right. Because it will be well received. Make you feel good and them feel good, because you've noticed, and that what they're doing is meaningful. So take care. Up whatever book summary we come across, and to share the experience, because life is best when it's shared. So thank you once again, and we'll talk again later. Bye for now. Yassas. Kissies from Jim's 5am Club.